Welcome to the show, boys, gentlemen. Glad to have you here with me. Couple of news stories today. It's kind of weird. It's been a little bit of a slow news cycle, ironically, unless you want to talk about Orange Hitler, unless you want to talk about Kamala Harris. Or I don't know, Israel. Like, no one's talking about Ukraine anymore. No one's really talking about anything else around here. Just seems to be everything with either Orange Man bad or Israel. Those seem to be the news feeds that everything. But I dug around a little bit and tried to find a couple of fun stories tonight. I was going to live stream this to YouTube because normally for YouTube I edit and I take the whatever it is, usually an hour, hour and a half, 2 hour live stream, cut it up into chunks, and I leave some stories out. And other ones I put up on YouTube just for, people that refuse to come to Rumble. And I find that is taking so many hours of my day, chopping it up into segments. And then because I have to sit there and listen to the 2 hour stream and find all the no words that I said. And I'm like, something, I think I'm going to just skip doing that because I got a house to build. Like I'm busy as hell. So what I think I'm going to do, I tried to stream it over YouTube and it just wouldn't go. So I think I'm just going to record this on Rumble and Locals and X. We're on Twitter now. So if you do want to watch on Twitter, you can. Although I don't know why you would. And then I'm just going to dump the video onto YouTube. For years I've tried to take care of the YouTube people. I like my viewers on YouTube. I respect them. Sometimes they say they can't get to Rumble because, in some countries like France and Brazil, they've banned Rumble and they've banned X. They've banned X over in Brazil as well. But I think I'm just going to put the whole live stream over there. And then what I'll try to do for all of us is I do have my pen and paper right here. And then when I'm done with a story, I'm just going to scribble down the time for a timestamp. And then we can move on about our day and give me a life again. First story we're going to talk about today is Trump. Trump makes fries at a Pennsylvania McDonald's. And he did this for a couple reasons. They say, I've now worked for 15 minutes more than Kamala. Number one, it's a roast on Kamala for saying she worked at McDonald's, and there's no proof she ever did. But also it's a photo op. And Trump likes to come across as like he's an everyday citizen. Or not that, maybe that's wrong. He wants to come across as showing appreciation for the working man and the little people. Not that fast food workers are little people. I've worked in fast food when I was younger, but he wants to be relatable. And photo ops and things like this happen all the time. That's why you see them going to car manufacturing and shaking hands. Then they go to a dock and shake, I don't know, fishermen or longshoremen's hands. Biden did it in the car industry. Kamala's even done it. But now everybody wants to come out and attack Trump for this photo op, which means obviously it's hitting home. It's striking at the nerve of some people, which is good. That means it's working because even the people that want to yell at him share the story, and then normies look at it and they go, "Yeah, this is no big deal." Like I don't know why you're freaking out over this. Everybody does it. Before we read the main story, let me give a shout out to today's sponsor. It's American Financing. They're very nice. They're very nice people, and they give me a very nice script. I don't just want to rattle off a script. I'll read it. But what I do want to say beforehand is that companies like this, because I worked for one, they take all your bills, they use equity in your home, they refinance everything, they use that extra money you have to pay off all your, credit cards, maybe a last little bit on a car, maybe some student loan or something or other, and they make that payment and it shrinks your outgoing payments every month, and it saves you money when it comes to your monthly outflow. Then you can take that extra money and do something with it, or you can just pay down the new loan faster, only having one check to write versus lots of them. I think it's something to look into. I worked for a company like this. We did good work. A lot of people thanked me for the work that I did when I worked with a company like this. So it's something to definitely check out. They say today's economic environment is still really stressful for a lot of people, but with the Fed finally dropping interest rates just a little bit, 50 basis points, there's no better time than now to put you and your family in a better financial position. If you're a homeowner, American Financing is helping thousands of families just like you've been putting everyday expenses on credit cards to get out from underneath that debt by tapping into their home equity. American Financing is saving their borrowers over $800 a month on average, $800 a month is like, say, getting an extra $10,000 extra money per year or a raise at work. And it costs absolutely nothing to find out how much you can save. They're closing some loans in as little as 10 days. And if you start today, you may not have to make next month's mortgage payment. There's no better time than to turn your situation around. Call today, 1-866-889-5022. That's again, 866-889-5022. Or you can visit americanfinancing.net/bachelor. And you'll know you're on the right page when you see my little symbol over there. So thank you for today's sponsor. I still think I'm getting over some allergies or something or other. I don't know what's going on with that. So I apologize for muting myself and coughing all the time. But it's better than blowing your ears out. So, all right. So let's get into Trump. So he makes some fries. I wanted to read this from Fox News because all the leftist sites, which is most other sites, are, you know, and I will read from one of them, but they're very upset that he did something like this, which I quite frankly find surprising that they're having such a meltdown over this. It doesn't really make much sense. They say former President Donald Trump took on a new role as he cooked and served French fries to customers at McDonald's on Sunday afternoon in Pennsylvania, while dishing out plenty of jabs at Vice President Kamala Harris. Thousands of Trump supporters surrounded the McDonald's restaurant as Trump spent the afternoon working as a fry cook and after accusing Harris of lying about her working at the fast food restaurant. He says, I quote, "I've now worked for 15 minutes more than Kamala at McDonald's," Trump said through the drive-through window as he handed out orders. "I really wanted to do this all my life, and now I'm going to do it because she didn't do it," Trump continued. Now, if you don't know, Trump is a massive fan of fast food. He loves fast food. McDonald's, I forget there was a sports team or somebody visiting the White House, and instead of having this elaborate banquet where everybody had to sit down and very formal with the White House chefs putting things together, he just ordered a buttload of McDonald's, like thousands of dollars of McDonald's, laid it out, had it laid out nicely on a table, and the sports team could eat at Mickey D's. He got made fun of for that. But, you know, for Trump being a billionaire, one thing I think he does understand is how to resonate with average people. He eats his steak well done with ketchup. That's certainly not how I would do it. But I do know of a lot of people that eat it that way. He eats McDonald's. He seems to try to stay in touch with average people, and I'm not going to fault him for that. They continue on. Trump claimed he also spoke with the McDonald's about Harris' claims that she worked at the fast food chain. She shouldn't lie about it. McDonald's confirmed 4 times that she never worked there. But let's not talk about that. It's an amazing business. It's an amazing country, and we're gonna make America greater than ever before, Trump said. He donned an apron and cooked fries while talking to reporters about his call with the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, raising the minimum wage, what it was like working at McDonald's, and even wishing Kamala Harris a happy birthday. Fox News Digital's Brooke Singman joined Trump during his shift and said he was in great spirits and was actually doing the cooking and giving customers their orders. "I love McDonald's," he said. "I love jobs. I like to see good jobs. And I think it's inappropriate when somebody puts down all over the place that you work. Think that was a big part of her resume and that you worked at McDonald's," Trump said. Trump smiled and continued to cook fries and hand out orders to customers while praising the manager and promising to make America better again if he was elected. Look how happy everybody is. They're happy because they want hope. They need hope. And that's what we're doing is we're going to give so much more hope than you're going to make. We're going to take hope and make it back. It's always tricky reading Trump's quotes because all of his expressions are very Trumpian. so it can be a challenge. I think they have a video here. Let me play this just for fun. It's about 4 minutes, but this is his whole kind of run at McDonald's. So let me play this.
I always wanted to work at McDonald's, but I never did. I'm running against somebody that said she did, but it turned out to be a totally phony story. So if you don't mind, I want to work the French fry counter.
Absolutely.
Okay, how much you paying me?
How much are you paying?
Hello, everybody.
Inda's here. This is Inda. She has an apron for you.
That's great, thank you. Okay.
Made sure to miss the hair, of course.
Two hands. Circle each side of that. Shake, and then slowly back into the oil. That's good. then we got another one going off. So do your time right here with that button. Good. And then pop the oil. Shake.
Yeah, let's make some more. Got about 10,000 people out there. That's a big crowd, huh?
Mr. Trump, why did you feel it was important to come here today?
I love McDonald's. I love jobs. I like to see good jobs. And I think it's inappropriate when somebody puts down all over the place that she worked at McDonald's. It was a big part of her resume that she worked at McDonald's, how tough a job it was. She specifically worked at the French fry, where they make the French fries, and she talked about the heat. It was so tough. She never worked at McDonald's. McDonald's just confirmed that again, by the way. She never worked at McDonald's.
Directly to this one. Very good.
Grab one while it's really hot. See if you can touch that sucker. I don't think so.
Then we're going to bring that basket already all the way over to the right and hang it right up there. And then we got another pull timer. We got that timer. Bring that one up. I'm going to take care of these.
Okay.
And so basically from here, he salts them. He starts putting them in containers and handing them out. And again, it's very Americana. It's very like normal guy. The thing that I do like about him is when he's talking to some people, you know, he's very friendly with them. He shakes hands. He pats them on the back. Again, it doesn't mean it doesn't mean really that much, except he does seem sincere when he's doing it. That's one thing that I think definitely comes across. Well, his haters were out in force almost immediately. This is from the Daily Dot. Staged with fake customers. Trump's critic called McBS on his McDonald's drive-thru appearance. Customers were screened by Secret Service. Well, really? What a shock. You know, 2 times they've come after him. 2 times they've come after him and 2 times failed. Of course they're going to screen, customers are going to be screened by Secret Service. The cars coming up in the drive-thru, they're going to be screened. Why is this such a surprise? But it's just a way to anything that they can get to try to take a dig at him. They say President Donald Trump on Sunday, we know all that stuff. And right here, somebody posted a photo. This is Travis Akers. The entire McDonald's stunt with Donald Trump was staged with fake customers at a store that wasn't even open. Well, right, of course it's not open. And so Secret Service made sure that everybody that was going around the drive-thru had their cars checked and that the restaurant was empty for security. And so this was a very big deal. Everybody was calling him out on it. Everybody was upset. But it seems what they forget is, let me see if I can find it right here. This is what they forget. This is VP Harris and Walls, and they're in a Sheetz gas station. And what do you notice about this gas station? They walk in, look, everybody, we're here. You can see Secret Service behind them. And guess what? There's the workers and nobody else. There's no employees. You don't see the homeless guy washing himself in the sink in the corner. They're walking around a completely empty place, with the exception of a couple people that were screened to be let in, or people that are on their press junket. It's literally the same thing. But they never want to point that out. They only want to point out Orange Man bad to make their points. Anyway, the memes have already started, and so here we scroll this back a little bit. This one was the one that I saw the most comments and views on, McTriggered, and the memes are flying wild. Here's another one that they've already made out of AI. This is from Dr. Vox Spoculi. Let me see if I have audio for this.
Can I take your order?
Hey man, do you serve food here? I want some grub, man.
I make the best fast food. Some would say it's the fastest. My freedom fries are so free they're saying. And my burgers, oh, they're the most delicious burgers, believe me. We are going to make fast food fast again.
Hey, I'd like a Whopper with no bun, chili salad, and
Anyway, you get it. And the memes just go on and on and on. And most of these threads have, some of them 50 or 100,000 views. Now, leftists, of course, wanted to get angry at McDonald's, so McDonald's put a statement out, and they were very neutral in their statement. This is from last night. This message is intended for the McDonald's USA system. McDonald's USA, earlier today, former President Trump visited a McDonald's restaurant in Pennsylvania following a request made to our local franchisee. As we've seen, our brand has been a fixture of conversation this election cycle. While we've not sought this, it's a testament to how much McDonald's resonates with so many Americans. McDonald's does not endorse candidates for elected office, and that remains true in this race for the next president. We are not red or blue. We are golden. Though we are not a political brand, we've been proud to hear former President Trump's love for McDonald's and Vice President Harris' fond memories working under the arches. While we and our franchisees do not have records for all positions dating back to the early 1980s, what makes a 1 in 8 so powerful is the shared experiences so many Americans have had. When owner-operator Derek Giacomantiono, wow, that's a very long last name, was approached by local law enforcement regarding former President Trump's desire to visit a Pennsylvania restaurant, he was proud to highlight how he and his team serve their local communities and make delicious food like our world-famous French fries. So they basically said, hey, we're staying neutral on this. We're not going to get into it. No reason to fight. So let's just stay friendly, everybody, and it should be no big deal. I think that's fine. It does show a little bit of a trend change, where in the past, if you supported Trump, or even if you were neutral in any way, shape, or form, oh my gosh, did they come after you? But now it's quite a bit different. And I think the tide is shifting to where now in most areas, even some places in New York City, maybe not so much in like Los Angeles, but there you get beat up just for existing. But people are wearing MAGA hats again. They're starting to show some pride about it. I think it's a good thing personally. Yes, and as one of you says, McDonald's gets free advertising. So it's not the worst thing to ever happen in the world. Next story I wanted to talk about. I don't have a thumbnail I made for this because, again, making 5 thumbnails a day is just taking exorbitant amounts of time. But this is something I did want to touch on because, as you guys know, many times I've mentioned to you, hey, you know something? We got a lot of ransomware and cyber attacks happening in the U.S., and it's becoming a very big problem. So much so that there is now cyber attack insurance against some of this stuff. So I'm going to read down through this because I do want you guys to know of how big the problem of cyber attacks are in this current atmosphere that we're in. Before I do that, let me quickly read all the live tips that you guys have sent in here. Okay, more about this cyber attack stuff. If we do not harden, look, companies right now are on this massive, we must have profit for the shareholders. And it's what's slowly destroying Boeing, because not only did Boeing go woke, but they're also pulling parts that didn't pass quality assurance, and they're using those in the jets. And now they're having a bunch of problems with it. There's other things throughout. I mean, roads and bridges are falling apart. A lot of our infrastructure is really having problems. And if once you add on cyber attacks and things like that, you'd expect a company to say, okay, we need to upgrade. We need new hardware. We need new software. We need new systems in place to protect us. And the bigger the company, the more expensive that is. But when you've got all these companies that are worried about, profits and making sure their stock goes up the most, of course, so CEOs get their bonuses and everything else, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. And we're starting to get in that position of being in a lot of trouble. From CNBC, the government is getting fed up with ransomware payments, fueling endless cycle of cyber attacks. The U.S. government, I think those are just highlights. With ransomware attacks surging and 2024 on track to be one of the worst years on record, U.S. officials are seeking ways to counter the threat, in some cases urging a new approach to ransom payments. And Ann Neuberger, U.S. Deputy National Security Advisor for Cyber and Emerging Technologies, wrote in a recent Financial Times opinion piece that insurance policies, especially those covering ransomware payment reimbursements, are fueling the very same criminal ecosystems that they seek to mitigate. This is a troubling practice that must end, she wrote, advocating for stricter cybersecurity requirements as a condition for coverage to discourage ransom payments. So I'm guessing companies are finding that it's cheaper to have insurance that pays off the ransomware attacks. That's cheaper than upgrading their entire system. And so insurance companies are like, okay, we'll support this and we'll help you out. But since insurance companies are paying it out and more payments are being made, now these ransomware hackers are saying, well, we're making money for this. They're not investigating it. They're not fighting us. They're not tracking us down. They're just paying us to stop doing what we're doing. Well, great. We're going to do it again and again and again. That you can't keep up on that kind of stuff. It's absolutely stupid. Zeroing in on cyber insurance as a key area for reform comes as the U.S. government scrambles to find ways to disrupt ransomware networks. According to the latest report by the Office of Director of National Intelligence, by mid-2024, more than 2,300 incidents had already been recorded, nearly half targeting U.S. organizations, suggesting that 2024 could exceed the 2,500 attacks recorded globally in 2023. Yet even as policymakers scrutinize insurance practices and explore broader measures to disrupt ransomware operations, businesses are still left to grapple with the immediate question when they are under attack: pay the ransom and potentially incentivize future attacks, or refuse and risk further damage. This is where a smart company would start making the changes that they need to make now. When you have a company that's running on older hardware, older software, things that can be more easily exploited. I forget, there was a number out there at one point that a lot of computer systems in government agencies, they're still running, in some cases, this is going to surprise you, Cobalt, Fortran, Windows 98 server or Windows 2000 server. They're running on really old software that has vulnerabilities, and they can't patch it anymore because they don't put out patches for that stuff anymore. And so to run the new software, that means they need to upgrade all their hardware. And so they need and of course there's the challenge of the downtime and mitigating to the new system. And so they're letting these old systems that are rotting away, and they're just getting attacked over and over and over again. It's completely unsustainable. It will destroy the entire system. That's the point I don't understand. They say for many organizations, deciding whether to pay a ransom is a difficult and urgent decision. In 2024, I attended a briefing by the FBI where they continued to advise against paying a ransom, said Paul Underwood, Vice President of Security at IT Services Company, Neovera. However, after making that statement, they said they understand that it's a business decision and that when companies make that decision, it is taking into account many more factors than just ethics and good business practices. Even the FBI understood that businesses need to do whatever it takes to get back to operations, Underwood said. The FBI declined to comment. Well, there's a shock. There's no black or white here, said cybersecurity expert Brian Hornung, CEO of Exact IT Solutions. There's so many things that can go into play when it comes to making the decision on whether you're even going to entertain paying the ransom. The urgency to restore operations can push businesses into making decisions they may not be prepared for, as does the fear of increasing damage. The longer something goes on, the bigger the blast radius, Horning said. I've been in rooms with CEOs who swore they'd never pay, only to reverse course when faced with the prolonged downtime. Let me give you guys this reminder. This isn't a plug. This isn't an ad. This is me reminding you. If there are 4,500 attacks that occurred in 2023, and they think more than 4,500 attacks that will occur in 2024, and the only way to get your services restored is to pay the ransomware attackers. This is why I say if we get into it with China, we get into it with Russia, we get into it with Iran, even North Korea. I'm not saying that they're necessarily the best programmers in the world, but a lot of these attacks are coming from countries that is very hard for the FBI and other agencies to investigate within, such as Russia and China. If we decide to get into it in a global excursion with one of these countries, all the government has to do is go to one of these cyber hackers and say, okay, go ahead and attack water infrastructure, power infrastructure, fuel infrastructure, billing, credit card, banking, any of that. And then when the company says, okay, what do you want to release this so we can go about the business? And the hackers say, nothing. You're offline. What if that offline is for weeks or months because they didn't upgrade their systems? This is why I say get prepared. Make sure you always keep a little bit extra water, a little extra food, a little extra fuel for energy or things like that. You've got to be prepared for this kind of stuff because it is here and it has been happening. And all it takes is, a one conflict or something to pop off where the ransomware guys say, no, it doesn't matter how much money you give us. Our government is paying us to do this. So and they wouldn't literally say that, but I mean, where they just say, yeah, you don't have a shot. We're going to just turn off your systems and now we're going to leave them off. What happens when we're in this conflict? That's one of the ways that many of these conflicts are going to be fought. I mean, it's just a fact of life now at this point in time. They say in addition to the operational downtime, the potential exposure of sensitive data, especially if it involves customers, employees, or partners, creates heightened fear and urgency. Organizations not only face the possibility of immediate reputational damage, but also class action lawsuits from affected individuals, with the cost of litigation and settlements in some cases far outweighing the ransom demand and driving companies to pay just to contain the fallout. There are lawyers out there who know how to put together class action lawsuits based on what's on the dark web, Hornung said. They have teams to find information that's been leaked, driver's licenses, social security numbers, health information, and then they contact these people and tell them it's out there. Next thing you know, you're defending a multi-million-dollar class action lawsuit. They say a notable example is Lee Valley Health Network. In 2023, the Pennsylvania-based hospital refused to pay the $5 million ransom to the ALPHV Black Cat Gang, leading to a data leak affecting 134,000 patients on the dark web, including photos of them without clothing of about 600 breast cancer patients. The fallout was severe, resulting in a class action lawsuit, which claims that while LVHN is publicly patting itself on the back for standing up to these hackers and refusing to meet their ransom demands, they're consciously and intentionally ignoring the real victims. LVHN agreed to settle the case for $65 million. So not only did they fail they didn't pay the $5 million ransom, but then on top of that, 65, got extra volume coming in here. But on top of that, they had to pay 65 back in the class action lawsuit. Similarly, background checking giant National Public Data is facing multiple class action lawsuits, along with more than 20 states levying civil rights violations and possible fines by the Federal Trade Commission after a hacker posted NPD's database of 2.7 billion records on the dark web. The data included 272 million social security numbers, as well as full names, addresses, phone numbers, and other personal data of both living and deceased individuals. The hacker group allegedly demanded a ransom to return the stolen data, although it remains unclear whether NPD paid for it. What is clear, though, is that NPD did not immediately report the incident. Consequently, its slow and incomplete response, especially its failure to provide identity theft protections to the people harmed, resulted in a number of legal issues, leading its parent company, Jericho Pictures, to file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy on October 2nd. Now, this goes on for a little bit further. I'm not going to go quite all the way in to they just have more and more stories. But they're not the government, not only the government, but a lot of these companies are not taking any action on this stuff. And if they don't, it's going to do a lot of real damage to not only companies, but us. You know, when I was in, let me take a sip of my coffee here. Get a little parched while talking. When I was in Asheville, North Carolina, right after the storm went through, the hurricane went through, and I went up there to deliver one of the runs of supplies that you guys so kindly donated for, and that I purchased and ran up there. I was in an Asheville grocery store, and I pulled up, and this was, I want to say, about a week after the storm. And I walked in the grocery store was open, but they didn't have any running water. The bathrooms were closed. They didn't have any running water. And around the perimeter of the store, everything was empty. There was no meat. There were no meat product, even packaged and processed meats. No meats, no eggs, no milk, no vegetables, no fruits. The frozen good, completely empty. The only thing that was there were cans of soup and dry goods, dry boxes of goods. You know, all the stuff in the middle aisles there. And they were running out very quickly, because all it takes is a hack that shuts down a power company for 2 or 3 days, and the food goes bad, and they can't sell it anymore, and off it goes to the dumpster. There's nothing you can do about that. Well, imagine doing that in something like New York City, and then everybody's panicked, and they run to the store, and they grab all their dry goods and the canned goods and bottled water, and then you're in a lot of trouble. And if things don't come back quickly, problems. Same thing with fuel delivery. They hack diesel or something like that, and the trucks stop driving. I think somebody once said New York City has 3 to 4 days of food in the city. if you don't keep refreshing those trucks coming in for deliveries. This is something that will have a real critical effect on a lot of people. They do continue on. Cyber criminals are changing the nature of data attack. As fast as cyber defenses improve, cyber criminals are even quicker to adapt. Training, awareness, defensive techniques, and not paying all contribute to the reduction of attacks. However, it is very likely more sophisticated hackers will find other ways to disrupt businesses, Underwood wrote. I don't necessarily agree with that. I mean, I do agree with it to some point. But when you've got systems that are running on software that is now 10 and 20 and sometimes 30 years old on old systems, you have to update that. There are so many either virus definitions. So as I worked as a network engineer at Cisco, I was a network engineer, and our security department, what they would do is they had a detection system that they installed on all their servers and all the routers and all the things that they put into a business. They had a detection. And if it detected some software, some program that is new, that's never been seen before, it will infect a server. Whoever drops that file on the server. But automated systems at Cisco will reach out and communicate. And this was not my department, so this isn't my specialty. My specialty was in something else. But they'll reach out and talk to the servers, and they can find a problem, and it's called a 0-day attack. That's like the first time this has been seen. And so they'd snap a picture of that virus, uploaded it, and these guys in security would pull it out and look at all the writing and the encrypting in the program file. They would find all the of what's going on, what the programming is, how does it work, and they would destruct it all. And then they would as quickly as possible, write a protection for that and then mass push it to all of their servers. So a company might get hit by something once if it's new, if it's a new virus. But then they quickly patch all the other machines for it, and they just say, look, we've got a new updated version. So when you see software version 1.01, and now you've got software that says 1.02, well, that's what they would do. And you'd have revisions of the software. And that was the cybersecurity at Cisco. That was their job. Well, they're writing software for maybe the last 1 or 2, maybe 3 revisions of servers. But at a certain point, it takes too long to write all this code and to monitor these old servers because it's very, Armik says what Joker's talking about here is commonly referred to as zero trust endpoint security. Oh, okay. Thanks, man. I've been out of the that's not my department, and I've been out of the business for a little while, but it was 0 day. They were always talking about 0 day attacks or 0 day files, which is before day one, anyway. And that's how they do it. Well, when you've got all these old systems, there's nothing you can do about it. You're just not getting patches to the new stuff. And so the older your stuff gets, the more and more vulnerable you're getting. So as he says, as fast as cyber defenses improve, criminals are quicker to adapt. I kind of disagree with that. Cyber hackers are not working on the most latest up-to-date or most recent software stuff. They may be, but really what they usually do is go back and try to look at software that maybe isn't being updated on servers or servers that are older. Or one of the most famous ways, the easiest way to get into a system is human error. They'll call a company and say, I work in this department, I lost my password, and I need a updated password, and somebody on the other end of the phone gives it out. And then they just use that to log in, and then they have access to a system. That's the easiest way that they usually do it. They continue on. A recent report from cyber extortion specialist Coveware highlights a significant shift in ransomware patterns. While not an entirely new tactic, hackers are increasingly relying on data exfiltration-only attacks. That means sensitive information is stolen but not encrypted, meaning the people harmed can still access their systems. It's a response to the fact that companies have improved their backup capabilities and become better prepared to recover from encryption-based ransomware. The ransom is demanded not for recovering encrypted files, but to prevent the stolen data from being released publicly or sold on the dark web. New attacks by lone wolf actors and nascent criminal groups have emerged following the collapse of Alpha V, Black Cat, and Lockbit, according to Coveware. These 2 ransomware gangs were among the most prolific, with Lockbit believed to have been responsible for nearly 2,300 attacks and Black Cat over 1,000, 75% of which were in the U.S. They say making ransom a last resort. We kind of get that. All right, so that pretty much covers all that stuff. If the U.S. government is finally admitting we have problems and they're getting desperate to try to fix this and to find a way around it, that tells you you better have some backup plans. You better be safe in case of a grid down situation, because if other governments can do this to us and other hackers can do it to us, nothing says, and I know this is kind of out there a little bit, but nothing says that our own government doesn't decide to go against us to do a black flag or to pull down a system to make a politician look bad. There's a lot of things that our own deep state could be doing against us. It's a very, very slim chance, but there's always that worry of that stuff, and that's what makes things kind of crazy.